Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I am Scott with the Central Florida chapter of ASTA. This week, we are doing our Supplier Spotlight webinar with G Adventures. Timothy here will be going over what they are, what they sell, how we can get in contact with them. But there'll be plenty of time for questions throughout the session. But please put them into the Q&A box. So that we don't lose them, because if we start chatting in the chat box, they get lost. If you are watching this as a recording, the email address for Timothy's should be in the description or in the follow-up email that I'll be sending out. But Tam, you want to go ahead and take everything away?
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. And I know some folks will probably watch this afterwards. And so obviously, if you have questions that we don't get to in real time, we'll make sure that you know where to find us, and we look forward to meeting you. My name is Tim Knight, and I work for National Geographic Journeys and G Adventures. I know that some folks probably aren't super familiar with us, and so as far as what our objectives are here today, we will certainly. Are we not getting? There we go. We'll certainly do a bit of an overview and then walk through some of the different things that we do. But I've been with the company since 2014. I've worn a lot of different hats over the years. I actually started as a tour leader way back in the day. And so I've seen a broad cross section of what we do. And like I said, we'll start kind of with an overview and some of the things that are consistent across all of the different products and travel experiences that we operate, and then maybe how we can get a little bit more differentiated and specific to different client groups or different experiences that we know our travelers like to have. And so just to start off straight from the back with a dictionary definition, if you're not familiar with G Adventures, we are a small group tour operator. So we operate multi-day, fully escorted tours, safaris, and adventure travel experiences in over 100 countries. And we are on all 7 continents. And so obviously there's a lot to break down there, but before we kind of dive into it, I always like to start right here, because if you're not familiar with G Adventures or you've kind of never heard of us, this is something that's very important to us and something that is intertwined into everything that we do. And that is, at G Adventures, we believe we're in the business of changing people's lives. And that applies to a lot of different categories, right? Obviously, we want our travelers to have these life-changing, transformative experiences when they travel with us, but it extends quite a bit beyond that, right? To ourselves within the company, to our partners like you who help promote and sell G Adventures trips, but even more specifically, the destinations and the people in the communities that we visit. If you follow the story of G Adventures over the years, we'd like to see ourselves as pioneers in community-based tourism, which is a specific breed of travel that's focused on local impact and specifically economically. We want every dollar that we spend to operate a travel experience to stay in the local economies that we visit and to help benefit and develop those destinations and those communities as part of our travel, right? We don't like travel that kind of divides people or puts up big walls or, maybe keeps them off the land on a boat or something like that, right? We want to be amongst the people that we're traveling with and get to meet everybody. And you'll hear a lot of similar things from suppliers these days, but I would hold those folks accountable. Ask them how they're measuring this positive impact, what they're doing to make sure that it continues to grow and isn't hindered by the way that they're designing their products. And so if you're looking at a G Adventures tour, obviously we'll dig into all of that. But keep in mind, every tour that we run has what's called a ripple score, which is a measurement or a score of how local that trip is. And if that score is 100, it means that every single dollar that we spend to operate that tour or that your clients pay to go on it will stay in that local economy and benefit those people. And so I always like to start right there, just because I think it is super important to understanding why our travel is designed the way that it is, and also what makes us special. And obviously you can sell that and market that to your clients as well. So to get a little bit more specific into what we do, I mentioned we are a multi-day pre-formatted escorted tour operator, which means that most of the folks who travel with us will travel on publicly scheduled small group trips, right? You're sending 1 or 2 or 4 or 6 folks on a group trip where they might travel with other people they don't know. Or we can operate private trips that are fully escorted and guided just for your party. But regardless, the key to everything that we do is designed around small group travel, and specifically on, the small element. Normally, you will never travel with a G Adventures group that holds more than 12 or 15 passengers at the most. And so we never want to be limited in where we can go, what we can do, what experiences we can have in all these incredible places we're visiting by the number of people that we're traveling with, or worse, where do you park a bus around here? And so it really is an intimate small group experience. And all of our itineraries are pre-formatted. And so we don't actually start from scratch and customize tours, right? We have about 650 fully designed, completely vetted tours that we operate. And as we just, we'll see, we categorize those into a couple of different buckets for different clientele expectations, that sort of thing. So fully escorted, all small group tours, operate them publicly and privately, and we don't customize anything, but we operate so many trips. Chances are, if you're visiting one of our destinations, one of them is going to work well. Our local guides, as we call them, and so we call them Chief Experience Officers at G Adventures, or CEOs. We like to have a little bit of fun with that. But everybody who's going to be escorting you on your tour, and you'll have one person with you throughout the entire duration, right? If it's a 7-day trip, they'll travel with you, they'll be with you, they'll help experience the destination with you. They're all local to the places that we visit. You're never going to turn up in India or Southeast Asia and see somebody who looks and sounds like me, ready to share that culture with you. And they will get to know you as well, right? At the beginning of a tour, our guides will normally meet everybody and ask them what's most important to them, what are you most excited about, so they can kind of tailor the experience and the group dynamic to those expectations. And so above all, I would say that our guides and our personnel are our secret sauce. We have folks who have been guiding for us for more than 30 years, and it really is something that helps us stand apart. So locally based personnel, again, following the trend of community-based tourism. And again, the tours are fully escorted. And so you're never on your own. You have somebody traveling with you the entire time. We build in a lot of freedom, flexibility, and optional activities into our tours, right? I mean, a lot of people hear the idea of a group trip or a tour, and they have these images of 40 people walking down the street, following the person with the flag. And that is not our style at all. I mean, obviously we keep our groups small, but we also build in quite a bit of free time and ability to define your own experience into each trip. So if you look at one of our itineraries, chances are you'll see afternoons or mornings or even free days entirely with no scheduled activities in a destination, with a bunch of optional activities to choose from. Or, if you want to sleep in, peel off from the group, do your own thing, you're not beholden or stuck with a really specific schedule. And so we're a great option for folks who maybe might like the idea of a tour, but are a little bit hesitant. Great first-time tour option. And again, you're going to always have your big iconic experiences included, right? Your trip to the Taj Mahal, your visit to Machu Picchu, but there's going to be lots of little optional activities peppered along the way. And that same approach that we take to local businesses and local impact applies to the accommodation partners that we use as well. Unless there's no way around it, say in a big city or something like that, we always try to find little locally owned mom and pop lodges and small hotels to accommodate our tours. One, obviously, we want to impact those families and those destinations, but we just feel that it leads to a far more unique and immersive experience when you're traveling. And all of our trips will include all of your transportation, all of your accommodation, and some meals, depending on the experience or the itinerary. But you're never on your own, right? There's always a plan for a meal, even if there's not something that's included. A couple of more key selling points to touch on. And again, this applies to everything that we do. We're going to get a little bit more specific here in a minute. But all of our departures are 100% guaranteed, which means that once your client books onto our trip, they are going no matter what, unless an act of God forces us to change something or it's not safe to go there for some reason. But book your flights. We will never cancel or alter an itinerary because it's not full or we're not going to make money on it. We don't think that's something that should happen in travel. So once you're booked, you are going. And all of our deposits are lifetime guaranteed. And so that means that if you cancel your trip, that initial $350 you put down to reserve your space will stay on file in your name forever, or your client's name and yours as an agent. And so there's no risk of losing that, that initial deposit. Not refundable, but it never goes away. You can always use it. And a big one for us as well is we never require a single supplement. We don't think that anybody should be forced to pay more to travel just because they are by themselves. And so if there's multiple travelers of the same gender on one of our tours, we will match them together. Or if you want to guarantee that you have your own room or your own space throughout, you can pay an optional supplement. We call it My Own Room, but the key is that it's optional. You're never forced to pay more. But overall at G Adventures, it's all about the experience, right? It's about immersing yourself in different cultures, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and experiencing some of these far-flung destinations in a really fun and safe and immersive way. And so everything that we've talked about thus far is really about everything that we do at G Adventures. But again, as I've said, we operate several different product lines that are designed for different travelers, different stages of life, different budgets. And so I want to kind of shift gears and dive into that a little bit. But I found that before we do that, it is helpful just to quickly think about some of our top destinations. And so as we're talking about the rest of our organization and kind of our approach, you can keep that in mind as, what destinations, what experiences we're great at. And so we do operate over 650 itineraries in 100 countries. But given that our approach is all about positive impact and local cultures and using travel as a force for good to kind of, inject resources and things like that into, certain parts of the world, we do really shine in developing countries. Our founder, Bruce, always says that, the G Adventures model works best in places where poverty and tourism meet. And so as far as top destinations, South America and Central America is 100% top of the list. Our number one destination is Machu Picchu. And we go there a lot of different ways, but if you do have clients that are looking to hike or do the traditional Inca Trail experience, more people travel on that experience with us every year than any operator on the planet. 1/3 of all global Inca Trail permits are sold through G Adventures. And so several different itineraries here. Costa Rica, another great first-time adventure travel destination. Lots of different ways to do this. This is just one example of our itinerary. Africa, right? Whether you're in Southern or East Africa, all manner of safari options are a great way to experience G Adventures. This is one of our tours in Southern Africa in partnership with National Geographic Journeys that we'll review a little bit later. Asia, Southeast Asia, Japan, India, these are all top destinations where our model of, local cultures and immersion really shines through. And same goes with North Africa and the Middle East. So Morocco, Jordan, Israel, Egypt, these are top destinations. Just keep that in mind as we're kind of going through. But as far as how we segment those 650 unique products or unique tours into categories, we divide them into what's called travel styles. And so each one of these travel styles, and I know this is a lot, is designed for kind of a different audience, a different budget, what's most important to them on their trip. But if you look at this, I think there's 11 of them up here. We can throw a lot of these out because they're really little niche products that we can dig in on. But for the purposes of this introduction, I really want to focus on the 3 biggest travel styles that we operate, 3 biggest product lines. And so about 95% of the tours that we operate fall into one of these 3 categories. So we call them our 18 to 30 somethings trips, our classic itineraries right in the middle, and then our most exclusive and most special itineraries, which are operated in partnership with National Geographic. This is National Geographic Journeys with G Adventures. And so what you'll see is that for a given destination, say a Costa Rica or Peru or Jordan, we're going to operate a very similar itinerary at each one of these travel styles. And so as you can see here, these 3 tours, for the most part, visit more or less the same destinations. They're about the same length and duration. But as you can see, they have very different price ranges and as we'll see, different age ranges as well. This 18 to 30s trip is $660, $1,279 in the middle Costa Rica quest. And then with National Geographic Journeys, you're already all the way up at $2,100. And so for a very similar experience in terms of the places you'll be visiting, obviously there's quite a bit of variation in the standard of accommodation, the number of inclusions, that kind of thing. And so each of these travel styles is designed to allow you to filter down the available options into a handful that might make sense for your clientele. and also who else is going to be traveling on that trip. And so to get a little bit more granular, our 18 to 30 something trips are designed for a young audience. This is your college age summer travel or your gap year experience, spring breakers, that sort of thing. These trips are limited to folks under the age of 40, and it's shoestring budgets, right? Very basic accommodation, maybe some camping or hostels, and a really fast pace. And obviously, you're only going to travel with other young folks on these trips. These trips are obviously on a shoestring budget, and so it's pretty difficult to make a whole lot of commission on these. What I always say is that if you're going to think about 18 to 30 somethings, think about them in larger groups. Don't just sell one or two folks. Send somebody out there, and say, hey, you want to go on a spring break trip? Why don't you get 6 or 8 of your friends? And that's really how you can make some money. We don't sell a ton of these in the US market, just because a lot of these folks are international travelers from Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Western Europe. But regardless, you always do get a great international crowd on these trips. And as you can see, that age range there in the bottom, that's just bracketed by 5 years. And so really only for the youth market here. Our classic itineraries, this is our largest travel style. So we operate more trips and more travelers at this travel style than any other. And as you can see by the age range there, there's really no patterns in terms of who goes on these trips. Mostly folks looking for that kind of soft adventure, certainly budget accommodations. It kind of fits right in the middle in terms of price point. So think 2 and 3 star, clean, comfortable, centrally located, but not really anything special in terms of amenities. And then a mid-level range of inclusions and pricing as well. And so this kind of fits right in the middle. Pretty much anybody can go on one of these tours and have a great time. So this is sort of your catch-all here. And then at the top end of the product line for us, we have what's called National Geographic Journeys. And this is where we really step outside the traditional adventure travel or adventure box and put forth kind of an elevated product. So as you can see here, this is a premium price point for us. And you can kind of think of these as upgraded accommodations, more inclusions, and most importantly, specific experiences that you can only get through the National Geographic partnership. And as you can see, the age range here really does skew a little bit older. This is sort of your adventure travel or your G-Adventures trip for your Gen Xers and your baby boomers. But I always like to bring up this slide again, because I think this scale is super important. And again, you can think of this as different things, right? Number of inclusions, sort of standard of service with accommodation, budget or pricing, certainly. But this slide, I think, is super helpful in figuring out or understanding why the Journeys or the National Geographic Journeys product with G-Adventures exists. So if we bring in National Geographic as an organization and think about the travel products that they operate, you can see that National Geographic Journeys kind of fits right in the middle for both organizations. And that's why it exists. About 5 years ago, National Geographic called us up and said, hey, G-Adventures, we have this problem. We love what you've always been about with, sustainability and positive impact and emphasis on, local communities through your travel. We believe the same thing. We have this problem. Right now, the only way to travel with National Geographic is through National Geographic Expeditions, which is obviously a fantastic product, but at a super premium, sort of 5-star price point. And so for this global iconic brand like National Geographic, it didn't really sit right that, there was no way to travel with them sort of at the 4-star level. And so for us at G-Adventures, Journeys is an opportunity to kind of take our greatest hits tours and our greatest hits destinations and elevate them to the next level, right? Upgrade the accommodation, include a bunch of really unique special experiences that you can only get with National Geographic, but sort of operate them at the 4-star price point and 4-star service accommodation level. And so for us, again, it's our top of the line product. For National Geographic, it's kind of that entry level product. And so it adds to the product line, to the lineup for both organizations. And again, for any tour that you're looking at, say with National Geographic Journeys, we're going to operate a very similar tour at different travel styles or different budgets. And so what a lot of folks will choose to do is focus specifically first on the 90 or 100 trips that are National Geographic Journeys. And then if something doesn't look right there, or you're looking for something more active or more affordable or maybe takes place on a boat or something like that, then you can look at another tour or another trip with us in the same destination. And so I've recopied here a couple of our top selling trips. All of these are National Geographic Journeys itineraries. Again, these are the most special or the top of the line products that we sell. But keep in mind, we're going to always operate a very similar itinerary at a different price point or a different travel style. So explore Machu Picchu. This is 8 days. I'm going to Peru once in my life. I want to tick all my boxes and have, a really fantastic National Geographic Journeys Machu Picchu experience. Jordan is a top seller for us. And so folks who want to go have that Indiana Jones experience at Petra, kind of see themselves as Lawrence of Arabia. Already talked about Japan. Japan's an interesting one for us because obviously it's not necessarily a developing or an impoverished country, but the culture is so diverse and so different that it really does lend itself well to a small group escorted tour, right? Not only are you going to have somebody there who can translate and tell you what you're looking at and how to understand all these things, but you're also going to have another group of people to kind of bounce off what you're seeing. And a G Adventures group, again, is always super international. I've been on several and been the only American. And so it's really nice to go to Japan with 10 people, and 2 of them are from the UK, 2 are Australian. There's a weird German guy who's drunk a little early in the day every now and then. Really eclectic crowd of people to go and travel with. And so keep us in mind for Japan as well. And then I already mentioned our safari options. If there's anything that will help you promote or sell a safari, it is having that National Geographic yellow rectangle on it. And so again, when you get priced out of those luxury safari options, or, folks are looking at maybe a group tour, but something a little bit more elevated, we fit right in the middle. And if you look at our prices, you'll kind of see that those are in a unique spot there. Iceland, another great adventure destination. Europe this time, but certainly not a traditional Italy or something that's iconic. Obviously, a lot of great adventure experiences in Iceland. Natural highlights of Costa Rica. This is 9 days. This is usually less than $2,500 a person, depending on the departure date. And so for a National Geographic branded Costa Rica experience, really fantastic price point there. And we also did recently relaunch the National Geographic Family Journeys line as well. And so this is the exact same approach, right? Kind of that elevated 4-star level. It's not quite luxury, but it's not budget or large format group travel either, fits kind of right in the middle. And this line is designed to take the exact same approach as Journeys, but for families traveling with children. And so anybody over the age of 7 can take these trips. And what a great way to kind of go off and experience some of these far-flung destinations with your kids. And, they'll meet other kids from all around the world as they travel together in a small group format. And so we're really excited about these as they come back online this year. And all of these trips are tailored as well, specifically for families with kids. And so we've gone out of our way to find things like triples and quads in, hotel room formats, things like meal choices for picky eaters. Even when you're in Southeast Asia or Japan, we can find you chicken nuggets and grilled cheese. And so these are really exciting experiences. We're excited to sort of bring up the next generation of travelers with National Geographic and obviously our community-based tourism format. So that's a quick overview of our 3 biggest travel styles or product lines. There are a couple more that are worth mentioning. So all of our sort of big iconic experiences are going to fall in one of those 3 big categories. But if you do have clients that are specifically looking for that outdoor physical activity, or maybe some of those iconic trekking experiences, we do have a whole line of active trips as well. And so these are things like Inca Trail, which we mentioned, hiking in our national parks. You want to climb Kilimanjaro, or maybe walk the Camino de Santiago in Europe. We do have a great set of tours that specifically will include these active experiences as well. Hiking in the Greek islands, all manner of different Inca Trail options that we can include. So keep us in mind there. If anybody says Inca Trail or Kilimanjaro or Camino, certainly take a look and be sure to present a G Adventures option, because we certainly knock that out of the park. And then the last one that we'll touch on is our marine itineraries. And so most of what we do are land-based tours, but we do also operate some small group marine or cruise experiences as well. So we have 3 different Galapagos yachts. We have small format sailing tours for just 8 to 15 travelers. And we do have an Antarctica vessel as well. So this is one of our boats in Sri Lanka. You can get on this boat for a week with 12 of your closest friends or as a single, and just a really unique alternative to, say, a traditional cruise experience. This is our brand new yacht in the Galapagos, the Reina Silvia Voyager. Again, kind of right at that 4-star level, not designed to be luxury, but certainly in a unique category that allows it to tick a lot of those traditional cruise amenity boxes. So even on a 108-foot boat that holds 16 travelers, you still get private balconies, hot tub, multi-course, or sort of fine dining experiences. A great alternative to some of the larger format Galapagos experiences out there. And the pitch here really is, right, there's a lot of things you can do in a naturalist destination like the Galapagos. A lot of things you can do with 16 people in a 108-foot boat that you can't do with a 600-foot boat and 200 people. And so if you really want to go and experience the destination, go in a small format. We do have our own Antarctica vessel as well. This has been out there for almost 15 years. It's a really, really unique and international science-forward way to experience the Galapagos. It is not the most luxurious boat out there, but it is the most affordable way to go to Antarctica. We have actually quad cabins available that you can book a single berth in. And obviously you have a really fun and kind of international crowd to go with. And so keep us in mind for Antarctica. And you do spend quite a bit of time out and about, right? It's a much smaller boat in terms of capacity. And then we have our Amazon River boat. And again, same story, right? It fits right in a unique place as far as price point, especially for some of the more adventurous river cruise options. It's not way up at the top where you're paying $10,000 a person to go on the luxury boats, but it's not kind of mass market either. Kind of at that 4-star level. I love these pictures. I think it looks like something out of the movie Anaconda. And so keep us in mind for folks who want that naturalist river cruise experience in the Amazon. So that is a quick run through of our different products. And I know that we are running out of time here. And so I will kind of kick it into high gear, but I do want to walk through a couple of overviews in resources and just kind of things to keep in mind that'll make it easier for you to promote these products or present them as options to your clients. And remember, it is all pre-formatted travel, so we don't have to go back and forth for quotes. If you have your client's name and date of birth, you can hold space on one of their tours and send them an invoice and see if it all looks good. We want to make it easy to sell these products. Even if you're not familiar with the destination, we've done the legwork for you. So if you are not already registered, please take a moment, and the info will be in our follow-up, to register to book with your agency and G Adventures. This is what our agent portal Sherpa looks like. The homepage is just a pretty robust search engine. And I'll do a quick orientation here for you. In the bottom right-hand corner, you have that purple button that says chat with an agent. That's the quickest way to get a hold of us. If you don't want to wait on hold, you can do everything right there through the chat feature. You're speaking to exactly the same person, one of the folks in our office, either in Toronto, London, or Melbourne, Australia. And then a bunch of, down the right side here, a bunch of helpful resources. If you want to travel with us, be sure to check out that agent discount policy in process. If you want a quote for a private group trip with us, there's a quote request form right there. And then our agent backpack, which is where you're going to find all of our trainings and resources. We will circle back to that. And literally just to do a super fast run through of our agent portal to show you how easy it is. Let's do a quick example here. I just picked a country. We'll type in Jordan. And as you can see, we have 9 different tours in Jordan. Each of them is going to be tagged as that travel style. So you know already which basic category of traveler is going to be going on that trip. And then down the left side here, you have all of these different categories you can filter by. And so if you want a specific travel style, or you want to make sure that you're going on an upgraded service level trip, you can tick those boxes and then kind of filter down to the trip that works or makes the most sense. For this one, I clicked on the Explore Jordan trip right in the middle. You'll get to an overview of that trip. Down the left side, it'll have all the basic information, travel style, service level, everything that's included, what your meal plan looks like, and where you're going to be staying, and the group size. And it's pretty darn easy to share this with your clients if you just want to see if this option makes sense. That drop-down menu right there will give you all the scheduled departure dates. And so you can see we operate this almost every single week of the year. We've got dates out through 2025. And so you can pick one of these, and then that number in parentheses is just the number of available spaces. So let's say we pick a departure, it will update with that price, and you can hit that big blue print quote button, and it will literally spit out a 2-page quote with all that basic overview information with your name and contact info on it that you can share with your client. And then for all the nitty-gritty details and the full itinerary, optional activities, the hotel partners that we plan to use on the trip, you can click View Tour Details and PDF, and you'll get a full, complete, down to packing list and every single thing that we know about this destination and this tour that is super easily shareable as well. And there's no contact info here. And so grab the quote, grab this itinerary, hold some space on the tour using your client's name and date of birth, and off you go. Private groups, again, 600 tours, lots of different rules, but for the most part, standard terms are we can operate a private group at the advertised price for 8 travelers, and you get the 12th space for free. And so you can either travel for free and escort the group, or give it to a group lead, or use it as a discount across all the bookings. You get that additional benefit at the 12th traveler. A couple of different agent resources I'll highlight here. And again, we will send out all of these in the follow-up as well. But if you appreciate our style of travel, you want to stay in touch with our agent community in the United States, check out our Agents of Change Facebook group. We'll send out the link to join. But this is the first place that we're going to announce any special opportunities, exclusives, FAMs, chances to travel with us. Please do take a minute, join the group, and stay connected with us. And then the other things that I would highlight, in that agent backpack section I mentioned earlier, you will find all of our specific trainings. There is a ton of content in there, but if you were going to take the time to just complete one of those trainings, I would recommend the National Geographic Journeys Specialist Certification. It'll take you about an hour to complete. There's a separate section for the family journeys as well. And afterwards, you can add National Geographic Journeys Specialist and that yellow rectangle to your email signature and your list of accreditations. We also have access to our brand and marketing library available. And so basically, we make every single image that you'll see on gadventures.com, all of our logos and everything available and free of charge for our partners to use. We'll customize flyers for different sales. We'll give you social media tiles and copies that you can just quickly copy and paste and send out. We make it pretty darn easy. And so the last thing that I will touch on, and this is something that we just announced this month, I will bring it back full circle. Again, everything that we do and everything that we've just talked about is really designed, one, to deliver transformative, life-changing experiences for our travelers, but also to positively impact the destinations that we visit, right? Our agents are agents of change within the travel industry. And just this summer, we announced a special award or set of awards that we're going to be giving out for agents who embody these values and this mission, both in their work and in their daily lives as members of their own communities. And so if you think you identify or are a good representative of what it means to be an agent of change, please do take a minute to nominate yourself or someone you know. Based on the answers to 3 questions, we're going to select 3 agents to go on a all expenses paid G Adventures trip with us. You'll also get a bunch of cash and resources to help promote G Adventures and do mailings for your own client database. Really, really cool a set of benefits to be awarded here. And like I said, we'll send out the link, but you can nominate yourself and we'll ask you 3 questions. And if we like what you have to say, then we would love to send you on a G Adventures trip. Anyway, that is what I've got for you. I think we only had a couple of folks jump on in real time. Scott, do you see any questions out there?
Well, I have a couple for you. So the first big one is, so does G Adventures work directly with clients in terms of, like, are you marketing directly to them, or are you a travel agent only option?
No, we sell to direct to consumer as well. But overall, I think more than half of the folks who travel with G Adventures book through an agent.
Okay. And so when we're booking our clients, do we have to worry about you all starting to direct market to them to steal them away?
No, believe me, I wish we could. We need your help to get these folks on this trip, right? I mean, we're going mile a minute. And so, no, I mean, it's not as if, we're going to steal their contact info. They're attached to you. We want them to book through you. We just want them to travel with us and
Good.
leave their money in these destinations.
Yeah. Being a supportive partner is important for a lot of the agents that we have, just because we want to work with ones that support us. How would you compare G Adventures to something like Adventures by Disney?
Yeah, so it's a great example. And really, I think the parallel with Adventures by Disney is going to be with the National Geographic Family Journeys line, right? I mean, especially from my days in guiding, I have a number of folks that I worked with that guide for Adventures by Disney. They're fantastic experiences. They're amazing. But if you've ever booked with them or quoted them, they are really, really expensive. And so that's kind of the idea. And so with that National Geographic Journeys partnership, I mean, there's the standard journeys, which are designed for adults. That's designed to be sort of the 4-star, more immersive, more local version of a National Geographic expedition. The National Geographic Family Journeys could conceivably fill that same hole in comparison to a luxury product like an ABD or, Tout Bridges, whatever it is. And so we find a lot of folks finding their way to that trip after, say, they look at one of those experiences and it's fantastic, and absolutely sell it if you can. If you're priced out, or they're looking for something a little bit more affordable, or they're looking to take 8 people instead of 2, you can look at the National Geographic Family Journeys. It's not going to be luxury. It's going to kind of be 4-star and little locally owned spots, but really, really fantastic experience for the price point, and we can get you out to the destinations.
Yeah, that's excellent. And then, so one of my big fears when I talk to clients, not necessarily my fear, their fear, is if they book a space into a group tour and the group tour doesn't sell well, is there a risk that their vacation will get canceled because you only have 4 people registered opposed to 12?
No way. Sorry, as I click through 50 slides here. I know that it was a while back, but absolutely all of our departures at G Adventures are 100% guaranteed. And so for a public departure, right, if you're booking, 1 or 2 people onto a public trip, even if that trip has 1 person on it and it's designed for 15 people, it will operate exactly as scheduled with no changes. I'm a former tour leader at G Adventures. I have operated a 2-week national park trip in the United States in a 15-passenger van with a giant trailer full of gear for 15 people for 1 person.
That's pretty cool.
I'll let you decide if we're still friends or not.
I mean, that would be a good time. Like, talk about a road trip. Like, get a nice big van to drive around in. Just trade off driving responsibilities,
Sure. No,
yeah, the insurance company would have a problem with that. Well, so if you all have any questions, I know we're down to just a handful with us still. Feel free to put them into the chat window or the question and answer window. We can ask them live. If you are watching the recording after the fact, feel free to reach out to Timothy about anything that you have. He is our guy for Central Florida. So anyone that has a host agency or lives here and is a part of the chapter, he's your guy. But we'll go ahead and wrap up if we don't have anything else going to come in. Next session will be next month in a couple of weeks. I will actually not be leading it because I will be on the Scarlet Lady. Kyle will be with y'all. So please be kind to him as he leads his first webinar. But I thank everyone for watching and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, folks. I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to catching up with everybody.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Take care.